Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CoLab, SpacetoCo's free monthly online sessions designed to assist those working in community venues to learn, upskill, and be inspired to do their work more effectively and efficiently. We hope you find these sessions useful for the important work you do in our local communities. For those of you who are watching this recording after this live event, hello, and we hope you get a valuable knowledge from this session. My name is Carmela, and I organize these monthly learning series. So, just a little bit about SpacetoCo before we move on. So, our mission in SpacetoCo is to help community venues be a thriving hub in their communities. We do so by providing opportunities to be able to grow bookings, increase community engagement, as well as support. We also create and provide free resources for those working in community venues. SpacetoCo is a two-sided marketplace where you can list your spaces where guests can find and book them online. It is also an efficient booking system tool where you can reduce your admin by 80%. We work with a number of local governments as well as community centers across Australia and New Zealand. Today's session is facilitating community and development in empty commercial spaces. We will be exploring how flexible early activation of commercial spaces can support belonging, well-being, and vibrancy in new developments. We'll be unpacking the hidden costs of inactive spaces and disconnected early residents, how temporary community first uses spark connection, safety, and placemaking, the tools, partnerships, and platforms like SpacetoCo that make activation easy and impactful, real-life examples of early wins in development like Fraser's Landing, ways to empower locals with access, agency, and opportunities to lead, the admin upside, less red tape, more insight, better service, and why early engagement boosts sustainability, well-being, and long-term vibrancy. So I'm so excited to introduce our speaker for today. She is actually one of SpacetoCo's hosts. This is Mrzyglocki. So our speaker, Michelle, is the National Community Development Coordinator at Fraser's Property in Australia, where she leads place-based initiatives that foster resilient, connected communities. She is a social sustainability professional with extensive experience in Western Australia's development sector. Known for her collaborative approach, Michelle works closely with local governments, not-for-profits, education providers, and private enterprise to deliver innovative outcomes. She has managed up to 7 active community sites at once and is committed to leading a lasting social legacy in every neighborhood she supports. She's a passionate community advocate, and her work focuses on the roles of developers in creating thriving places and how partnerships can drive meaningful, long-term, and social impact. Woo! We've got a really awesome speaker for today. We're so lucky. And so welcome to the collab, Michelle. So I'll just chuck her onto the stage in here. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, glad to be chucked. Hello, everybody. Wonderful to be in such esteemed presence of all of you, and really excited to share our SpacetoCo experience to date. I would consider myself a super fan of SpacetoCo, and hoping to learn from you guys as well. So if you've got ideas or you've got experiences to share along these lines of activating empty commercial spaces or working with developers, love to hear it. Let's make it a really open session, and that will just benefit all of our communities that we have the great pleasure to work with. Okay. Great to see so many people from so many different areas as well. Okay, so a little bit about Fraser's property. Sorry, a little bit of a dense slide. I won't go through all of it, but we do have a really engaged, highly professional community development team. We have partnerships with Ending Loneliness Together, which supports the creation of a resilient, thriving communities. Very dedicated to our volunteering programs, and we're very focused on tailoring initiatives that reflect the unique character of every place. So all of you community development professionals out there know that every space offers different opportunities. So this is not to say that what we're talking about today may be the exact solution, but perhaps it's like us, you're looking to get the best out of every place that we work with. So hopefully that's something that we can explore today. I think we've sort of been through this, but I just like to use it as an excuse to show off some of the communities that we've worked with. This is one of our print groups that are in on a Tuesday. They're a subcommittee of a local resident group. I have learnt a lot about insurance through my SpacetoCo and community management journey, and how we can build in with insurances the opportunity for community groups to have their public liability, use spaces, and get on with the business of being together. So today we're going to cover off all of these things. They won't happen in that order, and I'm really happy to take your questions as they go along. I'm hoping Camilla can help me just point those out while I manage a few things on my end. So the hidden cost, as we know, there's nothing worse than having an empty space. It's a bit sad. It's a lost economic opportunity for local businesses. Everybody in your neighbourhood walks past and goes, what's going on? Or what a shame, we could be using that for this, this and this. Lots of reasons why that might be empty, but wow, what an opportunity for community if we can find a way to activate it. What we know also is that social connections are harder to build in communities lacking a vibrant all-weather and evening gathering area. I've had projects in the past that just have the local park, and although the park is amazing, come winter, come the mozzie season, the bull ants that sometimes jump into the grass, all of those things make it really difficult. And it's expensive. You have to bring in everything, super resource heavy as well. So if you're like me, for a lot of my time working on that grassroots level for community, it might be just you, somebody else you've roped in. There's only so many things you can do on your own while you're trying to build that initial community connection. And if you don't have the facility to work with, it does make it more challenging. So if you don't have a really close neighbourhood centre or a library, this is where having that indoor space can just be so helpful. So that would be a big thing for me in development. If we can just have that space local to us or create it, that makes all the difference. We don't want those empty spaces because it creates an unloved and a bit of an unsafe feeling in environment. Sort of, as we know, things sort of happen in unloved places that may be a bit challenging. So we want to make sure everyone feels safe, and it feels like there's lots of passive surveillance. Everyone feels like they can move around at all times of the day, and having that activation is part of that solution. Sorry, I've covered off the activations in outdoor parks. Yes, more expensive. And the missed opportunity is a hidden cost. So the first impressions of a place and how it shapes the long-term identity and reputation. So if you're coming into a community, it's not always visible, is it? Where is, you'll go into a new development or into an area and you might think, it feels a bit dead, or it doesn't feel like much of a vibe, or the community is quite often not very visible. So having that activated space, as I know you all know, working in the community space, just is a really big part of making that really great first impression, and everyone gets that feel. It's like the castle, it's the vibe. So I think they're the hidden costs, but also the opportunities. Okay, so ta-da, this is Fraser's Landing Sales Centre. I've popped a big red cross on there. Originally, this building was, top floor was development, bottom floor was a sales centre. So this was a very intimidating sales centre, I would have to say, in the city of Mandurah in Kootenai. What we did at some point was we sort of sat down and said, well, we don't have a lot of community space nearby. Our residents need a space to gather. It is in wetlands, this particular development. So there is a mosquito issue. It's real. And that happens all over the city of Mandurah. But so you couldn't do anything too early in the morning and not too late in the afternoon, let alone evening if you were going outside. So what we did was I'll say we had a meeting, we had a billion meetings, and what we got to was dividing this building into 4. The top 2 floors were on the top left-hand side. We worked with the school directly across the road. They were a hard-to-staff school, and we were keen to engage our local residents with the teenagers because it hadn't been a very symbiotic relationship to date. So we wanted the opportunity for them to bump and meet each other, and also just to start to bring a bit more understanding with those teenagers. And I'm pleased to say I do feel like we've achieved that. On the top right-hand side, we have we got a local yoga business that was looking for some space, and they have a beautiful treetop yoga experience up the top floor there. And the bottom left is our smaller sales centre, which is a beautiful little space. And on the right is our community centre. Yay. So if you're lucky and you work with willing partners, you may also be able to retrofit something that can serve your community in all of those ways we've spoken about. And this is the other angle of it. I'm very proud of it. It's an absolutely fantastic space, lots of windows, really exciting place to be able to work with. So it's 150 square metres, filled with natural light, lovely decks on both sides. It actually has a wraparound space right around the whole building, so we run markets and things out there as well. Fully accessible, really welcoming hub for our community groups. They host everything from meetings to workshops to art classes. It's really an amazing space, and because of this, it's become my favourite project. So for 2 years, we managed the bookings manually. And for anyone out there who has been through a subpar SpacetoCo process, you will appreciate the challenge of trying to run a community centre particularly when it's not your sole part of your job. So the challenges included limited resources. At the time, it was just me back in the day, managing multiple projects, competing priorities. We weren't physically on site 7 days a week, trying to manage the bookings moving forward, the changes, the other bits and pieces, very cumbersome process. As I said, the insurance, oh Lordy, that's a fun one, and I know a lot of you can feel my pain on that one. And the other side of it is we're trying to also look at what does social sustainability look like in a new development. How are we building our community champions? How are we giving opportunities for people to build a business or build a new community activity when they don't have insurances? So we had to have we found some good fun workaround spaces in there, including being subgroups on resident group insurances, but also partnering with some not-for-profits like Befriend here in Western Australia, who have been fantastic at auspicing some of these new groups and helping us get them started. And the other thing is that, unfortunately, free is not necessarily better. So what we did find early on was there were people booking up space, but then sometimes there was no activation, or it was only 1 or 2 people. So it wasn't really bringing that volume that we were hoping to see. So we had that visible community and opportunity for everybody to come in. And the other thing is free doesn't also encourage a sustainable future for us or for them. So at some point, it's helpful for me to argue my case for a community centre to show some income. Also, at some point, this community centre is going to change ownership, because the life cycle of development, that is just what's going to happen. So how are we helping to build their systems within their own community group so that they can then, it's pretty low chance that they'll get something for free. So what is a way that we can help them to start to set up something within their groups that they're paying a minimal amount, so they know how to do their insurances, they know how to create a funding model that gives them a sustainable future. So for me, I needed a better system that could reduce the labour of the bookings and allow a payment system of sorts. So that was kind of where I was at. And now with SpacetoCo, I feel like I need a drum roll and a ta-da moment, but amazing. So this is what happened once we got SpacetoCo up and running, because I could only do what I could with what I had, and that was time, resources. So I probably had 8 bookings a month prior to SpacetoCo. Now we have got, it's a very popular space for art groups because of the light and the hard flooring. But then so you'll see on the top left here, that's Maxine and Co. So they're actually one of the sub art groups of a local resident group, and amazing artists. They've done a couple of murals for me. Moving across to the right there, they participated with all the other art groups of the centre to run they've been running a couple of art markets, which has been just another build on that community sense. We've also got down the bottom here, we've got, oops, sorry, I can't see my own screen here. So down the bottom here, we've had people like Peel Men of the Trees, and actually also the Mandurah Community Garden across the road. They were using some of the deck space to run herb workshops, whilst there was other things going on in the community centre. So we've kind of doubled up in some ways. Another art group down the bottom there. Actually, my mum's hiding in there as well. I don't know about you guys in the community space, but all my family seems to be involved in in all the things I end up doing. I think maybe that's kind of where we come from. Also, we've got on the far right, up the top there, we had some of the many community meetings. So we've had everything from residents meetings. We'll discuss things like bring in emergency management. We've done animal relocation, information days. The residents have run special interests, like we've had Barry do a big session on the local bird life, because it's a wetlands and it's pretty incredible actually. And a very famous lady, Marion, who is a amateur orchider who goes orchiding. Apparently it's a verb also. So the opportunity is for residents to connect, meet the neighbours, but also we're really bringing in that broader community and welcoming them. It's not just for our residents, it's really is a resource for everybody. As developers, we will leave those boundaries to our project aren't hard and set. So it's really important that it bleeds out and they feel settled and really part of the context of that broader community. And probably one of my favourite activities that's running at the moment is down the bottom on the right is a ukulele group on a Tuesday night. One of the ladies running it used to be a security guard at Fraser's Landing, but now she's very enthusiastically running a ukulele group. So the long and short of that is we've been able to absolutely move our programming with the help of these willing partners to the next level. And it's, as James Clear says, it's not about the goal, it's about the system. So our success is really been big thanks to SpacetoCo and the staff. They're really willing to help us with any issues that we might have, and also any hirers. It's just having that resource has been absolutely wonderful. And the winner is your community, and ultimately your business or your council as well. So I just can't speak highly enough of SpacetoCo, and I have definitely promoted it to the rest of our national team, and we're seeing that come on board. So the other thing with SpacetoCo is you get some stats, which is really helpful when you are providing documentation for whatever reason, whatever reporting you need to do. So I thought I'd share. So we came on board with SpacetoCo in 2021, which, as you remember, was a challenging time for all of us. So we have increased our bookings quite significantly year on year. I'd say we are just slightly more. We're probably getting close to maxed out at the moment, so we probably won't hit probably about 380, I think, for 2025. But without SpacetoCo, hand on heart, I could not have done this. So it's been an absolutely sensational find for us. Oops. And that's it there, sorry. So as you can see, it's been huge. And the great, you can pull all sorts of reports in the back end for whatever you might need. But yeah, this is just some of them. So asset-based community development, of course, we use what we have. So I think that unless your opportunity working in development or local government or whomever you're representing, unless your opportunity is to develop a community space up front, preferably in partnership with local government so that it would revert to them when the developers move out. I guess that would be the gold star. The next thing would be use what you have available. So I've worked with local cafes, units, public areas can become vibrant gathering spaces. You know, I'd be looking at activating those as well. We want to be creating that kind of village feel. It's about scale, isn't it? So but scale in going in the smaller way, people to connect, providing a real smorgasbord of opportunities that people might be interested in, and so that they can get to know each other. And it's those 1%ers, it's how regularly can you bring that activation to life. I can't remember the stat, but it was if adults to build adult relationships, I think it was like about 50 hours. I'll find the paper I read it from and send it through, but it's quite a lot. And so if you're meeting every week, you can start to build those real relationships. And then that's the antidote to feeling lonely, which is a really big thing for our communities. So regularity is really important. So those benefits, so we're looking to build the social capital, we're fostering safety through visibility, we're sparking that informal placemaking, people bumping into each other, and then it's not just when they're meeting in our community centres, of course, it's when they go for a walk with the dog in their local community, when they're bumping into each other at the shop. It's building that sense of belonging. And reframing the timeline. So activation isn't something we want to wait for. Why would we wait until we have everybody in a development? Up front, as soon as we possibly can, invite the broader community to be part of the conversation. It's a really key phase in development, and it's a really important piece of the puzzle for social sustainability. So, of course, early activation, what could that look like? Pop-up community spaces, anything from, I imagine you guys have got lots of ideas, and you've done lots of things, from reading rooms, repair cafes, information hubs, coffee catch-ups, meet and greets, so creative and business uses. So all of our gorgeous artists, the small food vendors, co-working spaces as well. They're a great product of COVID, I think, and a good way for lots of people working from home to be in community. Local services, so we've had NDIS services, mobile health clinics, parenting groups, cultural gatherings. So all of those things that you would normally run in a neighbourhood centre, you can do using SpacetoCo as your partner. You can use that as a tool to help you make that happen. And it's low cost and high impact. What business doesn't want to hear that term? So temporary spaces allow testing of ideas, allows you to build the momentum, and you've got a real-time feedback loop. So you can see what the usage patterns are. The community feedback helps refine that long-term planning, and co-designing it with your community is where you'll get really great outcomes. All right. So just an excuse really to show you some photos of of all the wonderful things or some of the wonderful things that we've done. So we've had the overwintering project, which is all about the birds and the artists coming together in Mandurah. So that's Judy up the top there. Also gives me good olive recipes, which I never use, but she does handwrite them, so they're lovely. We've had wine, the art of wine, just with the residents. That was something that they put in place. We've had local craft beer business come in. There's a little bit of an alcohol theme, I know, but it wasn't all that. And just to round it out, we've got a neighbourhood watch with some of the local policemen who are just lovely and bring lots of comfort to our residents in what they do and how they look after our community. So all of these projects came from our community. They were things they wanted to do, and they all turned up. So that's kind of the real key to success. We're really enabling that local leadership and fostering the pride and stewardship of these communities as we go. I would say, and all the while you are supporting the strategic alignment of your ESG goals, which is pretty important. Obviously, particularly with the social of the ESG, by facilitating that well-being through connection, inclusion, reducing isolation. So, of course, we're always keeping an eye on that side of thing in our planning. So making it happen. Basically, the key ingredients for success, in my view, have the space, have willing partners, simple processes, and a big cheer for SpacetoCo, and local champions. So I think that having those things in place, it's the magic sauce. It really is. And this is another photo of our residents running a neighbourhood day on Neighbour Day. And actually inside the community centre at the time was a local theatre group, which they went and saw a rehearsal of after they'd eaten lunch. So, yeah, really beautiful project. It also opened the Grow Cart, which is, you might not be able to see, it's right down the end of the table there, which was put in place and launched the same day from the community garden across the road. So once again, having that community centre, it just builds opportunity and impact. That impact is that ripple effect. People meet, they build new things, they have great ideas, and then we're able to facilitate through having a space that they can activate other things within their community. I know from here, for instance, there's been a street library, there's walking groups that have come together from the art groups, there's all sorts of things. So yeah, just magic stories. I love it, as you can tell. So I think I've whipped through it. So because I was hoping to hear some of your stories and how you might be using that commercial lens on with your spaces or how you're planning. So really interested to hear if anyone's got any ideas.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. As Michelle mentioned, she'd love to hear from you guys. So please feel free to make the most of the audience chat. She'd like to hear about how you guys have the ideas that you have in running your spaces as well. We'll give you some time to pop whatever ideas or anything you want to share on the chat. But while that's happening, we've had a couple of questions pop up. So hold on, I'm gonna maximize your screen. And then
So I've got a weird bit of sunlight there.
it's okay. Hold on. There we go. Okay. First of all, thank you so much for your session. I loved seeing how vibrant your space became once it became activated. And one of the key things that I really got from it is the fact that community is the heart of what you do and essentially what the space is for. So if the community doesn't use the space itself, so what's the point? And I love that you said, create a village feel from the get-go. And I really love what you said about activation is not something to wait for. It's a key phase of development. It's from the start, don't wait for development, just invite broader community in the conversation. And so I think that's so awesome to hear. So a few questions that we had was, what is the best way you found to promote or market your space when it was brand new? Because you mentioned that you went from going from 8 bookings a month to, however, you didn't even say a number, but you said that you were basically like full. You were over max capacity. So it obviously, you went from like this brand new space, barely anyone kind of knew about it. So how did it develop this great number?
We sort of sat down and we built a bit of a strategy. We did have some challenges in that we have a yoga business upstairs, so sound is an issue. So, and also having a commercial space upstairs, we're very respectful that we didn't want to have a compete. So first of all, if anybody ever applied that something looked kind of the same, we'd always check in with the owner to make sure she was okay with that. Do you know what? She's always said that's fine. But as a, happy neighbours, it's the right thing to do and look after our commercial tenant, because having our commercial tenant also means that my community centre's viable. So that's really helpful. How we went about finding places, well, I think we were advertising through our networks. Just letting people know it was there and what it was. And yeah, it's kind of one of those things, isn't it? Once you build your relationships, it was during COVID where everything kind of came to a weird stop-start situation every couple of weeks. So it was a bit odd. But also at that time, there was a lot of councils kind of in that particular area. Suddenly they got like group community pages. So suddenly there was a few that lifted and we were able to promote through those kind of avenues. Great partners with the community development team as City of Mandurah. We'd let them know it was available. As City of Mandurah's used that space a lot as well as a base in that central Mandurah region. Just keep knocking on doors, let people know it's there and what they might be. So I think maybe give them the vision of what they could do.
Yeah. But then that's it, right? Like the more people you tap into, the more it's just like sometimes you just need that one person to come and experience the space, and then they'll share it with their connections and their networks and their communities as well. And it just becomes like this wider net that everybody kind of in the local area kind of find out about as well.
You're so right. And do you know what it is as well? Is how easy is how hard or easy is it for me to get access to this space? So SpacetoCo awesome. Again. Thank you.
Yeah, you did well considering that, as you said, it was in the middle of the COVID season as well. Another question we had is, What resistance did you face from your wider organization to use the office as a community space, and how did you overcome this?
Great question. It's always about who's in your team, isn't it? I have worked in spaces before, which understandably the setup to use the sales centre you weren't able to lock offices, so it was felt that there was potentially sensitive information. So I think design up front, or having some thoughts about where you feel those concerns might be, so that you have a solution. Or, if you're going into those discussions, see if you can uncover what you think their concerns might be, and then discuss how you can mitigate them. Because I think the argument for, if you're going to use a sales centre, then the benefits, in my view, of course, far outweigh the negatives if you can manage those very relevant concerns. But it's all doable.
Yeah, true. Vas had a question from Goji Street Community House. She asked, with the art groups and special interest groups, are these rooms hire or auspice groups?
These are not-for-profit groups. Or they're actually arranged. The art groups they all have their own public liability insurance. They're set up under ABNs. There is a mosaics group that is, again, under the insurance of the Mandurah Community Garden, but it is a subgroup of that Mandurah Community Garden. So it's been quite surprising you just need a supportive committee in those other areas to take on board what a subcommittee might look like. And then the other one I mentioned was Befriend here in Western Australia. I'm not sure how broad they are, but if you can have those auspicing groups, because I know you get groups of people who just they don't want to go through all the palaver. They really just want to get together and do some sewing, or have a Toastmasters class or something, and they're like, oh man, it just feels like barriers. So if you can kind of stack up your holds harmless agreement, whatever your legal team's happy with, you're not for just sort of have a coffee with them and sort of get a feel for what they want to do, and that's our job really, isn't it? Is to help them get to the outcome before their beautiful volunteer energy burns out, because that's the gold. It's not the paperwork that we put in front of them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, as you said, right, like SpacetoCo was such a massive game changer, because it just reduced your admin so much to actually do the meaningful work that you needed to do in the community. And speaking of which, we had here, did you have trouble rolling out SpacetoCo to your users? What was the transition process like from manual to online bookings?
Great question. Because we have quite a few older users at the time. They, poor things, during COVID, I ran a QR session, how to read it. When the QR codes first came in on your community centre, and I just sort of I thought, I wonder if they know how to use them. So, and this was when they very first came out, and I just put a bit of an email around saying, look, I'll be down at the sales centre. I'm doing some work. I'll be there for half an hour or so if you need a hand. Oh my goodness, I had a line out the door. They were forgotten at that time. They really were. So that was my point being is that was kind of where my starting point. So it was a bit of a challenge, but I would say that for the most part, except one person, everybody else has got on board with it. I will admit, there's one person that I do her bookings for, because it's not worth it. But other than that, the SpacetoCo team have been amazing, helping some of our users get on board with the as regular users, which is also a fantastic way for them to manage their own bookings.
Yeah, awesome. We've had a few people actually share what you've asked of them. So we had Dan sharing it's not Mandara's first time in innovating commercial space. I remember back in 2005-ish, the city partnered with the local high school to run an engagement program out of a commercial shop front. This engaged student attendance and outcomes went up because it was off campus. Partnerships with local schools can also provide a great opportunity to create incidental community engagement. How can you leverage underutilized space to get younger students engaged with the older members of the population, reading programs, etc.? And we've had Stephen sharing, I worked for Renew Australia, running 17 commercial spaces for communities in Geelong. They run loads of projects. Most importantly, they can provide legal and leasing models, a plug and play for local government, then linkable to SpacetoCo for shared spaces. And then Adam also said that Befriend are amazing partners for the city of Kwinana. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Love Kwinana. They've got a great town team in Wella.
Yes. If anybody else is wanting to share, again, these are awesome to hear from everybody. The ideas that you've had or kind of the experience you've had as well in commercial spaces as well. Like, feel free to pop it into the chat. We have a couple more questions if nobody else has other questions. So our world is becoming more digital. Do you think that social activation is looking different nowadays, or is it still very grassroots and face to face?
Anecdotally, I would say still face to face. You can't tell everything from an email. You can't tell everything from social media. How do you really get to know someone is through face to face. But I'm not adverse to. I've got 2 daughters, and I understand that the digital world is very much a part of how they socialise. But they both, what I view them and their friends, they really make the effort to get together in person. So I hope that never changes. I think we'd miss something otherwise.
You mentioned earlier that you said it wasn't feasible for you to have the idea that to make the space free in the long term. So I was wondering if you had, for anybody who might be watching who might need help, are there any practical tips that you may offer to deal with and how to deal with fundraising or for community venues maybe that are struggling a little bit in getting funding or
what we did was we proactively advertised our venue through some economic development avenues, through the local business portals. So we've had a local bakery, for instance, do all their bakery training. We've had so we've had commercial users come through, and that's helping supplement our and it's ad hoc. It's not all the time, but it might be for 6 weeks on a Wednesday for 4 hours. So they never replace our community users, of course. Everyone's bookings are set, but if we can fit them in and it helps supplement our income, that's really amazing for our bottom line and keeping things moving. So if you have the opportunity to do that, that I would say that is the least amount of effort and drain on your resources.
Sure, that's awesome. It is what you said, right? Use what's available to you. In your that's awesome. And people are still popping things into the chat. Elle said, we visited a shopping mall in Walsall, UK, where unused retail units were being used for community co-working. They have created offices from sheds to cheaply segment up the space. That's so creative.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So I think there's one more question here. Shana and I had lots of questions ready because we were like, this is such a great session. How do you communicate to stakeholders the more hidden, unmeasurable costs and benefits to activating empty spaces?
I suppose for me that setting is more either with our internal teams or with perhaps in the case of working with talking to other commercial users, it's really about showing that traffic and what that could mean, painting that picture. What is the business case here? What could that look like? And what is the impact on that? For both, it's always about what's in it. What's in it for me sort of thing. So what is in it for the business and what is in it for the community, and what does that look like overall? So that's where I think the data in the back end of SpacetoCo it's magic. I don't have to collate that. I can just jump back in and go, right, well, this is how I can argue my case. My community centre is running this many bookings, it's making this much money, this is the bottom line, and this is the impact. If I was to run this exact same program, this is how much it would cost me. If I had to hire a venue, if I had to run it in a park, like, the numbers don't lie.
That's awesome. Exactly. Yeah, Shana was just like, oosh, mic drop, say less. Yeah, exactly. And that's what it is, right? But yeah, thank you so much once again. I don't think there are any more questions in the chat. But once again, thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing your experiences, your knowledge, the journey that the Fraser's property has had. And even like, I didn't know that it was divided into 4 sections. So even learning how it came to be and how successful and thriving your community venue has been, not just because you partnered with SpacetoCo, but because of how you tapped into your local communities. And as you said, right, it's a simple recipe. You think it's a simple recipe, and it can be. We just need to get out of our own heads and thinking that needs to be complicated when you are a great example that simple recipes work and are successful. So thank you so much once again for sharing your knowledge and giving us your time. For those of you who don't know, we will be sharing Michelle's PowerPoint and this recording of the session to you guys afterwards. But if any of you guys want to connect with Michelle, we will also send her contact details to you guys afterwards. But without further ado, people feel free to show some love to Michelle in the audience chat. But yeah, I'm just gonna wrap up this session, and thank you again, Michelle. Okay, where am I at? Okay, here we go. All right. So just to end this session, for those of you who don't know, not only are we a great booking system, as I said in the previous months, I feel like Oprah at this part of the collab, because SpacetoCo also provides amazing resources and guides for those of you working in community venues, whether that's in sports and recreation, church community venues, anything, local government spaces. But you get a resource, everybody gets a resource. And guess what? It's free. Amazing. But we will also send that link out to the emails afterwards. Please take advantage of it, make the most out of it. It's our gift to you because you guys are doing the great work out there. Other than that, thank you all so much. We hope you have a great day. And again, keep up the great work you're doing in our community venues. Bye.